Okay, good afternoon. I'd like to start by congratulating Janarian Grant, the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week, and also named to the Paul Hornung Award Honor Roll, which is a national award for the versatility of the most versatile players in the country. So I think an award and an honor that he certainly is deserving of this week after his performance on Saturday. And that's exciting to see 2 weeks in a row to score on special teams the way he did. It's going to make us a better football team. You know, and now we turn the page as a program and we move to Penn State and going to Happy Valley to face a very talented football team, a very well-coached football team with one of the premier quarterbacks in the country, with one of the better defenses in the country, and a defensive line that is certainly as talented as some of the best defensive lines in this conference, and there's quite a few, but they're right up there with all of them, and number 98 is as good a player as there is in college football. So he's somebody we're going to have to be aware of as we go through the game. Questions?
Kyle, yesterday, in relation to the incident that happened outside the
Let me
Hale
do this,
Center.
Keith. Now, I apologize for cutting you off. Let's do the questions on football first, and then I'll take whatever questions that you guys have that I can answer. Yes.
What have you seen offensively? Penn State did not play well the first game. They played a little better this past Saturday. What did you see the improvement being, and what concerns you the most?
Well, they're finding ways to run the football, and they're doing it in a lot of different ways. They've got some conventional run plays that they run. They've also got a player in number 10 who is a very fast, very shifty runner. Brandon Polk, 5'9", 170 is what he's listed at, but five rushing attempts for 95 yards. He's a dynamic player. So they've gotten him the ball on sweeps. They've gotten him the ball on reverses, and those are things I think that have helped open up their run game.
Kyle, you mentioned Zettel. I remember last year you said what a big impact he had. What do you guys do differently? How big of a challenge is that?
Well, we got to block him better. I know that's a general answer, and that's not easy to do. He gives everybody that plays against them, he gives them problems, and he is a spectacular player. So he's somebody we're going to have to be conscious of. He's somebody we have to be aware of. We'll have to try to get as many double teams on him as schematically we can. But ultimately, we have to win some one-on-ones against him too, and that's not easy. But we've got two guards right now, and Chris Muller and Dorian Miller, that I think are playing on a pretty good level, and we need them to continue to do that as the competition gets better.
How about the other side of the ball? Their offensive line pretty widespread, gave up 10 sacks in the first game. Your defensive line, you said you needed to get more pressure. Washington State, how pivotal is that matchup to this game?
It's a big matchup. And they got good players on that line. They got a couple guys from New Jersey that we recruited, and Angelo Mangiro and Brendan Mann, two highly rated guys, and the number 1 junior college offensive tackle in the country is on that line. So they've got talented players. So again, we're going to have to find ways to get pressure on the quarterback. If you give Christian enough time and you make him comfortable in the pocket, even if you cover the receivers, he can deliver the ball. So that could be an issue. So we got to get him off the spot.
Not that it's any news to anybody, but is this kind of where you're really missing Darius?
I think when a player like Darius is not in the lineup, you miss him no matter who you play against. Darius could have helped us last week, and if he's not available this week, he won't. We'll miss him this week. Darius is a spectacular player and a difference maker. But we've got other good players on that defensive line. It's one of the strengths of our team, and we won't make any excuses if Darius doesn't play.
Kyle, obviously the highlights with Janarian have been the kickoff and punt returns, but he's been doing that since freshman year. How far along has he come this year as a complete receiver and football player?
The difference this year is, you're right, we still have the kick returns and the punt returns, but you saw the big third down conversion in the first game, unfortunately got called back. You saw a big fourth down conversion in the last game, and as the season goes on, I believe you're going to see Janarian impact the passing game more and more.
You said yesterday you're looking for improvement from Chris Lavignano. Can you just share what areas do you want him to improve in the most Saturday?
It's really the operation. I want to see him operate better. Now that he's had the experience of going out there for the first snap of the game and playing through a Big Ten football game, I want to see him operate the offense better. And I think he will. I have high expectations for him, and I have no doubt that he'll perform better this week.
From a football standpoint, what does the absence of Leonte mean to your offense? And is Janarian somebody who does step in, and then is there concern about, him being spread too far around the field, or would that affect his role in the special teams?
We've got other talented players, but I think what you're saying is right, Tara. I think a guy like Janarian can make explosive plays, and Leonte is certainly somebody who did that for us in the past. And we're going to have to find ways for Janarian to touch the ball more in his absence.
You still would use him if he's a bigger role in the offense. Would that diminish his role on special teams?
It will not. No, I think Janarian's in excellent shape. I think he'll be able to handle it. A receiver's generally a position where guys will rotate in a little bit and out as we need to. So if we need to get him in and out so that he can do the kick and the punt returns, he's very valuable there, but he'll probably play a little more at receiver.
Kyle, you've personally recruited a lot of the guys on the Penn State roster, and the same can be said for James Franklin and these guys now at Rutgers. Does that add anything to this game? Does it make you, a little excited to see how some of these guys match up, especially, nighttime, BTN primetime?
You really don't. I'll speak for myself personally. I won't speak for the players. I'll let them speak afterwards. I don't need any more motivation than the opportunity to be 1-0 in a Big Ten championship game, which is what we get the opportunity to play this week. The fact that it's prime time, the fact that it'll be a great crowd and environment, I think these are all the things that are really enjoyable about college football for the players. What you're alluding to is a little bit of the rivalry aspect, and I think over time, if the games continue to be competitive the way they were last year, I think that can develop, because you're right. You got players on both sides. I just mentioned 2 offensive linemen that start for them that are from New Jersey. I could point to Chris Muller and J.J. Denman, 2 guys that start for us that are from Pennsylvania. And I think you're right. I think it does add a little bit more of that feel to it because of it.
God, no, in the moment, you moved on from Penn State last year real quick to go to 1-0. But in the off season, I don't know, will some losses sit more than others, or some wins sit more than others? Did the Penn State loss last year hit you harder because it was a game you probably could have won?
It didn't, and I know that expression, and I try to correct players and even people in my life who want to use those expressions. You could have, and I think we had opportunities in the game. I think we had opportunities last week in the game. But ultimately, we didn't make enough plays to be 1-0 that week. So that's the reality of it. But after that, I move on. And in the offseason, we really look at everything. And divisional opponents that you're going to play every year, do you examine them? We absolutely do, especially when they have the same staff, the same coordinators. It allows you to examine them a little bit more closely. But not any more closely because we weren't 1-0.
Coach, back to Chris. How big of a challenge is this for him going into this game?
It's a big challenge. He's got to make improvements on all the things that we want him to improve on from last week, and he's going to have to deal with a very hostile environment.
Coach, with Cruz suspended, who becomes the featured receiver for this offense?
I don't know that I can tell you that right now. I think you guys like Andre Patton, Janarian Grant, John Simmons, I think will be able to do a little bit more for us this week. That's going to help us. Carlton Agadosi's role is going to get bigger. A guy like Vance Matthews, his role may get bigger this week. I probably would answer it the way I answered the Michael Burton questions in the preseason. I don't know that you can just replace him with one person, but we've got a talented group of people that I think will be able to do it.
Kyle, everybody talks about Christian Hackenberg being an NFL prospect. Do you see that? And his numbers haven't been great late last season or this season to date. What do you think about the way he's playing in the first 2 games in your film study?
I would sum it up in one play. There's one play in the Temple game. He's on the right hash, and he throws an out cut all the way to the wide side of the field. That was pretty well covered, and he delivered it perfectly with great pace. That's an NFL throw. There's no doubt he's an NFL first-round quarterback.
Can we switch gears?
Sure. No, any other football questions? Keith?
Yeah, yesterday you mentioned you pointed us to the authorities on the incident that happened outside the health center. They pointed us back to athletics. So I guess the question to you is, has Leonte been arrested, or has anyone else connected with the incident been arrested?
Yeah, nobody has pointed it back to me. I would send that question probably to Kevin Lawrence in Athletic Communications. He'd probably be the one to be responsible for answering for it.
Was it your decision to suspend Leonte? Was it athletics? Did you consult with Julie Herman or Dr. Barchi before you suspended him?
Anytime you make a decision like that, you always consult and discuss with the athletic director. That's part of the chain of command. But it was my decision.
Did you meet with Leonte before you suspended him?
I did.
And what was his explanation for the whole incident?
I think that conversation is a private conversation that I wouldn't talk about here.
And I guess, I mean, there have been other players who have been arrested, and you've let the legal process play out before suspending them. What's different about this situation? Why does it merit an immediate suspension?
I think I'll defer that question until you get a statement from the university or a statement from the athletic department.
Does this one hit closer to home because it's Leonte, it's the face of the program, it's a guy you've spent a lot of time with, he's one of your biggest supporters. Does this one, I don't know, hurt more?
I think they all hurt a lot. Yeah, they all hurt a lot. And when you make a decision that you're going to spend your life, and I've spent the last 22 years doing this, working with young people, young men, started out in high school and now in college, you know that there's going to be mistakes. It's just no different than raising your own children. But it doesn't, knowing that there are going to be mistakes made doesn't make you feel any better about it. It rips you apart. But as the head coach, it's my job to continue to do what we do. And when I say that, what I mean is continue to try to bring people in their lives to help them be better people. People like Willie Alfonso, who's the chaplain for the Yankees and the Nets. He's somebody we've had around our team quite a bit in the past. Somebody as recently as last Friday, like Vaughn McCoy from Patterson Eastside High School, a former Rutgers football player, someone who's worked as a prosecutor at the state level, somebody who is, I believe, the vice president of PSE&G right now. Somebody who's around our program a lot. And you try to put these people in the lives of your players to do everything you can to help them make great decisions when you can't be with them, because there's a lot of the day and a lot of the year where you can't be with them.
Coach, was there an athletic department employee involved in this altercation that you referenced outside the stadium?
I can't comment really on any of the details of the incident that happened.
Kyle, how much do you think your players' off-field behavior reflects on you? Like, how much are you responsible for? As
the head coach, everything ultimately reflects on you. I mean, that's part of the job. If you shy away from that, you probably shouldn't do the job. But I'm very comfortable that the people who know our program, the people who are invested in our program, and the people that spend time with our program know the quality and the high quality of the young men that we have down in that locker room right now.
Coach?
Yes. Your name, sir?
Anthony Johnson. What does it say about the program that you've had so much trouble that has come to light in the past 2 weeks and, of course, this latest incident? Is the program in trouble? Are they in turmoil at this point?
I don't think I agree with the question. And when I say that, what I mean is this. Similar to what I was just saying, the people that know our program, the people that are invested in our program, the people that spend time with our program, they know the high quality of the young men that we have in that locker room. Now, I'm not naive either. I understand that people that aren't as familiar with our program and all they see are the incidents of the last couple of weeks, how they could have that perception. But I think the people that know our program, I don't believe they have that perception.
But how does that play into recruitment and trying to get people from other places to come play here at Rutgers when they have seen those news stories pretty much across the country?
Yeah, I'm really proud of our recruits. I believe there was an article last week where almost all of our recruits and their parents were quoted and saying things very similar to what I just said, that, hey, we're going there because they know that these incidents aren't going to be tolerated, and they're not. We take them very seriously. We're dealing with them, but they're very comfortable with the character of the young people that are in that locker room right now.
Are you disappointed? Are you disappointed?
Disappointed at what?
Are you disappointed?
At?
Just what these young men have done or been accused of doing. You talked to them the other night about making sure that they're accountable for themselves, and then this incident happens right after out in the parking lot. So is that disappointing to you?
Working with young people for a living, we constantly are reminding them to put themselves in good positions, put themselves in good places, to make great decisions, just like I do my own son, just like I do my own daughter, just like my dad did for me when I was growing up. And when they make mistakes, does it hurt? It hurts. But it doesn't mean we stop loving them. And it doesn't mean we stop educating the young people that are in that locker room right now. No different than my father didn't stop loving me when I made mistakes growing up. No different than I don't stop loving my children when they make mistakes.
Probably the last time you suspended a couple guys, 2 days later they were dismissed. Any timetable indefinite, what will determine Leonte's future? Is it when the investigation wraps up? Is it when you learn more details? Any chance he plays this week, or is this longer than that?
I don't anticipate any change in status as of right now. And it'd be hard for me to answer the rest of that until I had more details, just because it's a hypothetical right now. Thank you.
Can I?
Tara, go ahead.
I was going to in some ways follow that. I had two questions, if you don't mind. Just if there is a potential scenario where
Only
he
because
doesn't-
you normally come, Tara. I'll
I
give you two.
appreciate that. If there is there a potential scenario in your mind where Leonte does not see the field again this year? And the second question I just did want to ask, to be responsible, have you been given any assurance that you will be coaching the game this weekend, or any indication that people are considering? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've asked this before, and
Sure.
I know that, but has there been any assurance in that way?
Since the last time it's been asked, I have not received any contact to that topic whatsoever. I don't think it would be fair to anybody in the process right now to answer a hypothetical about it. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks, Coach. Thank you.